Welcome to my messy garden. We're gonna have a look at all the things. I've got a small space that I share with these two dogs. As you can see, they've killed the grass by running over it. It keeps trying to come back, but earlier this year, my brother said that I could use some of his yard space to grow things. And then a few months later, he decided he'd rather sell his house. So I had way too many plant starts. But I ended up planting them all anyways. So we'll see what happens with that. Here in the greenhouse, I grow the tomatoes up these Porch Nova trellising plastic. And I'd kind of just tuck them in like this. Weave their leaves around so that it holds their weight. I find that that works pretty easy for me. I do have a few hard trellises. These are almost all tomatoes in here with a couple of squash down at the front. Over here I'm calling this my salad bar. I've also got some beans, my peach trees, my apricot tree. They really like it in here. I have to try to protect things that are in high traffic areas for the dogs so they don't destroy them. This is the next project. I've been getting rid of all sorts of things that I don't need anymore because I don't grow plant starts anymore. Of course, we have potatoes everywhere. We planted all the potatoes that were left over that sprouted, and some that I apparently didn't pull out of the ground last year are coming back too. Now here is the main garden area aside from the greenhouse. I have to use these gates to keep the dogs out because they will dig and destroy everything. Something that I've started doing that I really like is growing the tomatoes in between the peas because the pea tendrils grab the tomatoes and help them to climb. And then later in the season, when the peas get past their prime, I'll just cut them at the bottoms so they release the nitrogen from their roots, and so that the tendrils are still holding the tomatoes on the trellis. It's almost time. Something I also noticed is I'm finally about to get some peas. There's more on that side too. I stopped by a coffee stand I've never been to before yesterday, and they had peas already, so I'm jealous, but we'll get there. This corn I planted directly in the ground several days before the other corn that we'll see, and the other corn I started inside, and that corn is outperforming this corn. Part of the consequence of starting too many plants and then not having the garden space anymore is that I've had to expand my planting areas. Last year this was just my thornless blackberries, but now we have tons of beans. We've got 4 melons and 2 cherry tomatoes. And we also tucked in some beans and some melons back here. Pardon all my garbage. I'm cleaning. Hey, puppy. What are you doing? Did you dig that hole? Yes. Yes, you did. Over here. It's about time to harvest some onions. Planted some zucchinis because I had more than I had space for, and now we're gonna have to deal with that because they're gonna get really big. I have been battling the slugs like crazy with my beer traps. Slug pressure this year has been really bad. This is mostly peppers and zucchinis in here besides my short peas and my 1 determinate cherry tomato. All of the beans are finally starting to come up. Those beans I started indoors, and you can see they weren't started very far apart, but those ones are much bigger than these ones already. Here's the corn that is growing much better than the other corn because it got the indoor head start. Squash and fabas, dog poop. Do you want to go inside? Just a second, puppies. My filet beans are finally coming up, so it's exciting. The dogs wanted to go inside because it's hot, so I took you back to the back corner. We have some beans, potatoes, and what we're calling the plum tunnel. We have plums on the other side of the gate, and then they lead up here, and eventually they'll make a nice canopy. This is the end of my project here. I've been cleaning up the yard. And it looks like we're gonna have lots of plums this year. The one in the front yard has the most. And this sour cherry put on so many last year that it's kind of light this year. Of course, the tayberries are performing. These were given to me by a friend. This cherry tree right around the corner was killed by the dogs digging holes. I'll have to fix that. And now I'm gonna pop over to the other side of the yard. Only one of my 3 European pears has fruit this year, but the Asian pears always perform here. This one is a Trojuro, and it always makes tons of pears. I do want to say something briefly about the USDA hardiness zones, because I'm in zone 8, and so are a lot of other popular garden YouTubers. But I'm in the maritime climate, the Pacific Northwest, and while some people in Zone 8 have been harvesting strawberries for weeks, for example, I got my first one yesterday. So it's just something to keep in mind when using that as a classification for somebody's garden versus your own garden, because the USDA climate zones, they really only just tell you what the coldest temperature that area gets. It doesn't really tell you that much about what the summer is like or the growing conditions.